that these doctors are trained in the professional and they've been doing this surgery for years. They will be able to help him. And you have to think about it. Sometimes there are things that we can't do for our kids that we have to let others do because we can't do it. Sometimes the best place for your child, and it's hard to know this, but sometimes the best place for your child is not in your arms, it's in somebody else's arms. Those doctors were able to do something for my son that I was not able to do. So I was happy to, of course I was scared, of course I was anxious, of course I was feeling all of these emotions, but I was happy to hand my son over and finally get it done, just to finally know that after this my son was going to have a better quality of life, that things would get better for him, that I wouldn't have to worry about his condition, because thinking about it, we could have went years without knowing what was wrong with him. Some kids do, but we got lucky to find out a month after he was born. I don't know. I don't even know if I'm explaining this good enough. But then, so I filmed a good part of the beginning of the day, and then after he got out of surgery, that's kind of when I stopped filming as much. And this is the third hardest part of the surgery, of the whole thing. And y'all, I'm about to cry. Seeing him after surgery. So when he was a newborn, for me, it was hard because he was so helpless then, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was so ready for him to get older, because he was so helpless and he couldn't do anything for himself. So after he got out of surgery, and this is in January, but after he got out of surgery, he was back at that helpless state. And it's different when he's a newborn, because I can hold him in my arms, I can comfort him, I can feed him. But after the surgery, I couldn't do that. Not right away anyways. And even if I could, I was scared to hold him because he was even more fragile than what he was when he was a newborn. He had just got out of surgery. So at the end of surgery, I was more irritable. I couldn't sit down. I had to be right there at his bedside the whole time. And I couldn't sit. I had to be right there for him. And then listening to him cry was the hardest thing, because his voice was all raspy and he really couldn't get anything out. And I don't know, it was so hard for me. After that, I really couldn't film anymore, because I just had to be there for him. And I hated seeing him like that. That was just, for me, out of all of it, that was the hardest part, was seeing him after surgery. Holding him after surgery, nursing him after surgery. I was just so scared to hold him, to comfort him, to anything. And yeah. And then going home after surgery was another thing I was afraid of, because it's different when you have the nurses there to help you. But when you go home, it's just you and your baby, or your husband and you and your baby, or whoever is there with you. You no longer have those nurses. You no longer have those people who are trained to deal with babies in this state. And talking about this actually reminded me. But while he was in intensive care, we had one nurse for 2 kids, and the other kid was I don't know what was going on with her, but she was so far, she was a lot sicker than what my son was. And that made the whole thing even harder for me, because I wanted to call them in and I wanted to ask for help or whatever it was, but I couldn't, because I knew that the other little girl needed the nurse more than what my son did. And it hurt to feel like my son wasn't important enough to have the nurse come in and tend to him. That's how I felt, because I could just tell she needed the nurse more, and that was hard for me. Going home, that was hard. Like I said already. But right after the surgery, it was really easy to see a difference in his head shape, and I will put his before and after picture right here. But that it was really easy to see the difference, and he like bounced back after surgery so quickly, smiling and happy and all of this stuff. He bounced back so quickly. Like, he was probably over it before I was. It's the helmet. I do have a vlog video of the day that we got his helmet, so you guys can go and check that out. Well, I don't know if I'll link it because I can only link so much up above, but everything again will be linked down in the description, and all of this stuff is in that playlist. I was so unsure about the helmet. When we first got it, it was so huge. There would be a picture right here of how big it was, and now it's so small on his head. Like, and I will put another one of how like his head looks in the helmet. But yeah, at the end of January, we got his helmet. The helmet was so awkward at first because it would never stay on right because it was so big, so it was always just like moving all around his head, and it was so annoying. It was hard to breastfeed him with the helmet. It was just so awkward because again, it was moving around everywhere. My son did so well with the helmet. The appointment that he got the helmet, he cried and cried and cried. Like, he cried so much while the helmet was getting adjustments and stuff. But as soon as we left that appointment, he stopped crying. He felt like, I don't know, he just stopped crying. He didn't care anymore. He immediately got used to the helmet. I think even now he still prefers to have the helmet off, but he's used to it. Like, he actually, the other day, he was trying to put the helmet back on his head. It was the cutest thing ever watching him try to put his helmet on, but he knows what it is. He knows what it's for. He doesn't hate it. I don't think he likes it. I think if he had a choice, he would prefer it off, but he doesn't fight it. We were constantly having issues with redness in the back of his head, and the hair in the back of his head even ended up falling out, so the back of his head was completely bald. It's growing back now. And we had redness like on the back of his neck, and like in this part of his head there was constant redness. We even had issues with sores, and I think it was because he was younger and he was still laying on his back a lot, and I think that's what attributed to a lot of the redness, and probably also his head getting used to the helmet. But now we no longer have any issues. I don't know if when he gets his second helmet, because he's still in his first. We got his first helmet at the end of January, and it's now September. And we should be getting another helmet within the next month. I don't know if we'll have issues again with the new helmet. I hope not, but we will see. And of course, I will make videos of that when it does happen. So if you want, you can subscribe to this channel to see those. We had issues, but honestly, even with all the issues that we've had with the helmet, I would not change which surgery that we got. I'm happy with the endoscopic surgery, and I will explain our decision. I will go over some of the pros and cons. I probably won't cover all of them in my next video about craniosynostosis. So you guys, again, you can subscribe if you would like to see that video. So people's comments about the helmet. I think the worst comments that I have are probably when people assume that they know what he has, and I guess their tone of voice when they do say it. I guess it's kind of like a know-it-all kind of tone of voice. And that is probably the worst. But other than that, I really haven't gotten any bad comments. People do ask, and they do ask questions about it. They do ask what he has. And most of the time, I do quickly explain what he has. I just say he has a condition called craniosynostosis, where part of his skull was fused early, so he had to have surgery to open his skull back up, and then the helmet is to reshape his head. And that's my quick explanation, though. At this point, I'm actually starting to get tired of it, and I just say that the helmet is to reshape his head. But I think the only bad thing is when I do say that, people assume that it's because of a flat spot, and it's not. But it just gets tiring after a while explaining what he has. especially when, I don't know, it just gets tiring sometimes. But most of the time I do give the quick explanation. And I remember, so there was a mom and her son had flathead syndrome, plagiocephaly, I think that's how you pronounce it. And she was worried about people staring at her son because of the helmet. And the way I think about it is, like, people stare at babies anyways, they really do. So you won't get any more stares than what you would with the helmet, in my opinion, because like I said, people stare at babies with or without helmets. They may stare longer, but you'll get stares with or without the helmet because everybody loves looking at babies, right? And kids stare. Kids always ask their parents, why does he have a helmet on? And a lot of times I do want to just quickly explain to the kids what it is, but I usually don't. I usually just let their parents just come up with whatever they think it is. So yeah, that is an update on our journey. I'm sorry that this video is so long, but I really just wanted to go into a lot of the things that I was feeling because I know I didn't do that before, and hopefully this helps somebody. Like, if you've watched my videos, because I have so many, not even the ones that are in this playlist, but just our day in the life videos, you can see that my son is thriving. My son is fine. He is like a normal 11-month-old baby boy, and actually my video after this one will be his 11-month update, which you guys can go check out. If it wasn't for the helmet, you'd never even know he had the condition. You can't even see his scars anymore. Like, I can probably part his hair and find them pretty easily, but otherwise he's got a full head of hair except for the back. The back is a bit short, but we do have some concerns that we will be asking the surgeons the next time we go see them. We will be going to see them in November. He has kind of like a dip in this part of his head. There's like a little dip there, and I don't know if that's okay or not, but I don't think that it's like a huge issue because I know it was there the last time that we went up to Seattle, but I want to specifically mention it to the surgeon so that they can tell me that it's nothing, because he felt his head himself, so I don't know if he felt that spot, but you know, I want it specifically addressed. And that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. New video every Sunday and every Wednesday. If you have any requests, please let me know, and until next time, deuces.